Hi, I'm Rishal Bipraj, Senior Associate in the Corporate and Commercial Department at Garlicke Bousfield. Not too long ago, I had a chat with a business owner who floated a few hypothetical questions on what could happen if a contract was based on some kind of deception. That was a good opportunity to speak generally about contracts being voided by the commission of a fraud and the possible consequences that go along with it, which I'll share in this video. Simply, a contract is an agreement in which two or more parties enter into with the serious intention of creating a legal obligation. A validly formed agreement is binding between the parties, and no one party can terminate it unless your lawyer drafted in a clear right for you to cancel. There are, however, certain instances where contracts are able to be terminated by one party. In other words, are voidable due to the commission of a material misrepresentation or a fraud by the other party. To note briefly, other remedies such as the rectification of the contract or claiming damages for losses suffered may also be claimed by a party. In contract law, a misrepresentation is a false statement of facts made by one party to another which led the other party to enter into the contract. It could be innocently made, and a material misrepresentation by one party renders the contract voidable by the other. The misrepresentation must be so significant that the other party, had it known of it, would not have entered into the agreement. On the other hand, fraud involves intentional deceit by one party to induce the entry into a contract. If proved, a contract entered into based on fraudulent misrepresentations is voidable at the option of the innocent party. Parties cannot agree that they are not liable for the commission of fraud in their agreements. The case of Naidu versus Amgeni Water dealt with an employee supplying false degree details to his employer. Once found out, the employer claimed payback of all remuneration paid to the employee. The contract was voidable by the employer, and an amount of approximately 2.2 million rand had to be paid back by the employee, which the employer recovered by going after the employee's pension funds. Another recent case is Titan Asset Management versus Lanzarak, which concerned some of the dealings of the now late Marcus Jooste. Most of us know the details of the Steinhoff scandal, the biggest corporate fraud scandal in South African history. But maybe as a very basic summary, from 2009, Steinhoff International misstated its income, profits, and assets, and had misrepresented the value of its shares, specifically to mislead its investors. In this matter, an agreement was entered into by a company, Lanzarak, relying on these fraudulent misstatements for the sale of Lanzarak assets worth 220 million rand to certain other companies. The payment for the assets were to be Steinhoff International shares. Where an innocent party does resile from a contract induced by fraud, that contract is void ab initio, which means that it is null and void from its creation. The parties are to be restored to their status quo, the position they were in prior to the contract. Generally, an innocent party cannot obtain restitution of what is owed to it unless it also is able to restore what it received under an agreement. Let's use the facts in this case. Lanzarak wanted its assets back, but had taken over the fraud-tainted shares of Steinhoff. To complicate matters, Lanzarak had later on disposed of the Steinhoff International shares in return for shares in a different Steinhoff company. Did Lanzarak also need to return shares that were valued at 220 million rand, being the value recorded in the contract? The court held no. In this case, the correct value of the fraud-tainted shares was negligible, and Lanzarak would therefore be able to return its shares in the other Steinhoff company to get back its assets. The takeaway is that our courts have time and again ordered that a person will not be able to keep an advantage which he or she has obtained by fraud. Fraud unravels everything. Once it's proved, it vitiates or undoes contracts and all transactions whatsoever. If you suspect fraud or material misrepresentation in your contracts, or just need general advice or assistance, you don't have to wait for our next video. Give us a call. You can get me on 083 633 2942 or at my email rbipraj@gb.co.za.